At the conversation. I can do it afterwards, that I have to do. No, let's do it
Okay,
now.
please rise. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you remember doing that every day in class?
Yes. Well, I went to Catholic school. That was followed by a prayer.
Welcome, Chris.
Okay.
We're gonna put you on first.
Okay,
If you could give us
sure.
just,
So happy to be here. I have been leading, for those of you who haven't seen me yet, yes.
Because we got live streaming, we might want to say to be heard by
Oh.
people at home.
And seen.
Sure.
That's right.
Sure.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris. I have been leading the Millbrook Listens project since September of last year. I've been working with Courtney from the Millbrook Library as our nonprofit sponsor, and we have been engaging people in learning about what they care about most in the community. Hopefully everybody has gotten this in their mailbox. If you haven't, I have some extra. Tomorrow is the last day to have your vote and to share about what you care about most. We had over 75 ideas that people in the community had shared. And of those, we kind of screened them down to 14 projects that you could choose. You could choose your top 3. And on the other side, there are 10 groups in which you could sign up for. So far, we've had over 420 people who have sent in a vote. I'm still going through them, but I will say that what I've been most impressed about, and as I had shared at yesterday's meeting, was we've had over 85% of those people sign up for a community group. And to me, I think that's the most special aspect of this, that people want to engage, they're interested in being a part of these groups. And it's exciting to help them get started. So we are trying to announce this in the middle of June. I'm working on a presentation. I do want to present to all of you about the methodology and the process and how we had sorted it out. But the next steps in terms of me and my work is to present this and our priorities of what people have said to the foundations who are interested in providing us another grant. Because this is not just a pilot grant for the planning, but it's also to give us seed grant money to make these projects possible. So it's exciting. The more people who do a vote, the larger our grant. So it's really important. If you haven't yet, we have until tomorrow. Happy to answer any question. I don't know how long I have, so but happy to answer any questions. I'll be staying for the whole meeting. So
thanks.
I appreciate it.
Did you want to do this at our June meeting? Or you're not sure yet?
So I'm presenting. I have a panel of about 8 foundations on June 18th. So that's when I'm going to have my slideshow prepared. But I don't know when the next meeting is for
The 11th.
10th.
Yeah, so July maybe.
It'll be in July.
I can do it in July. I mean, as long as people aren't away, but but happy to do it and happy to share it and email it ahead of time.
Chris, you had a pilot grant that paid for all this work you've been doing and all the things you've sent out. Is that,
Yes.
and now you're gonna seek other grants to fund these
Yes.
projects, whichever are the favorites.
That is correct. And I think that for me, and what I'm proposing is that I want to actually give each of these groups a micro grant. So I'm trying to work on a plan where we can help each of these volunteer groups get started, in which that they could have a structure and maybe they can have a part-time staff who could help them kind of create some leadership and structure around creating ensuring these projects are a sustainable structure in which to complete what they want to complete. So it's kind of nice. And then on top of that, obviously our number is one choice as well. But so I might not have shared this, but my experience is in a grants administration. So my goal is to create a roadmap or a timeline in which to gain enough resources for all of these groups, and that's what I'm going to try to help them in that pilot grant for number 2. Yes, sir.
And where does your grant come from? Who's funding you, and how much are you being funded for?
Well, it's a Partners Climate Action, they're the ones who created the structure pilot grants. We were one of 6 communities to get the award. To my pay, it was about $10,000 across a year. I've been working about 10 to 20 hours a week and plus volunteering on the side. The other 12,000, it's been used for outreach, material, communications, and the events that we've been holding since August of last year.
So it was 22,000.
Yes, altogether. Any other questions?
Where's the other money coming?
Well, it's kind of, that's unsure right now. So I've been working with a number of foundations who have funded Partners for Climate Action, and they're working on us, like our 6 communities will present our top 3 projects in an effort to gain more grant money that would be specific for our community. I'm not sure what the next grants will look like. It could be up to $100,000. But we are trying to raise more awareness around what our community and what these groups are most interested in.
This grant is
my
pretty much
job.
eaten up at this point.
The planning of grants is pretty much all done. That is correct. Yeah.
And then moving forward, you're hoping to.
Yes, that is correct. That's correct. Happy to answer
Okay,
any
thanks,
questions.
Chris. Yeah, I
Yes,
appreciate
it.
you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Yep, you're welcome. So Mike Murphy is going to be giving us the reimagining the town park initiative. So Mike, why don't you come up? Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
On the other side of
So you
the
need to
table
speak
now.
into the.
Yes. Okay. Let me hand these out.
Oh, thank you.
Is that different than the original one?
We added some more material to it.
Wow.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody have a copy?
Gary does not.
And Chrissy, you'll get a copy.
I just want to
in
make
late-
sure that mic is on, right?
They're on.
In mid to late 2024, the town board, at the time I was a member and Bob Audia was a member, we were faced with some challenging finance situations and material situations with the area that's known as the town park up in Mattisville. Specifically, it was dealing with the town pool, but also dealing with the infrastructure of the bathrooms and the leach fields and things like that. So among the board, we discussed a necessity to take a comprehensive look at the area. And the reason for that was the history of the area. It began as a privately owned swimming area in the 1930s. It remained in the family that owned the property until the 1940s. And in 1946, the family approached the town to purchase the facility, the acreage, that lower acreage that you see now with the town pool and then the fields and so on. And the town bought it for $16,000. An adult paid 25 cents for all-day admission, and a child paid 10 cents for all-day admission. And the town started to look at what that could become as far as a recreation facility for the town. And over the years, there were amenities added like pavilions, snack bar, the pool area was also drained and a concrete pad was put in. But nobody's fault over the years, it's just aged out. So we put together a committee that was going to take a comprehensive look at that whole area. And we solicited 11 members from the community of different expertise. Some were construction people, some had expertise, for instance, in nature, the woods up there, the grass. Others were interested in the water systems. Others were interested in the pavilions. The contractors that were on, and at the back of your pavilion, there's a list of everybody that was on the committee. Some were contractors that gave us some insight, but we didn't know what we wanted to do, so we held in the beginning of late 24 and the beginning of 25, basically organizational meeting to look at our vision statement, our mission statement, and what areas we want to look at. And what we did is started to do walkarounds. Late '24, the pool was empty, so we were able to look at what it looked like with no water in it. We did walkthroughs of the buildings. We looked at the pavilions. We also looked at the upper fields. The upper fields were added probably 15 or 20 years ago, working with the Coddington family. And we purchased those upper fields to become basically recreation sports fields. Soccer, lacrosse, what other uses could be done up there. So right now, it's 29 and a half acres of land that constitute the town, and that's in your packet. That area is a gold mine for the town. It's a jewel within the town. Baseball field was added, recently refurbished through some generous work of people in the community, but also some donations. Rededicated by Rob Dyson to his mom and dad. But we looked at that. We looked at the filter system for the pool. We looked at the pond that fills the pool for the summer use. Some of you may recall, and of course people on the committee, we had some members of the committee whose family history in the town dates over 100 years. So they were used to using it as a family. They were used to using it as children, as kids growing up. When Little League was there, when the Bardella family ran the concession stand. But over the years, it's aged out, and over the years, use of it became less and less. And that was societal. Our research showed that many, including our own county parks, because Dave Whalen was on the committee and he oversees the county parks as well as the airport, families began to change their perception of recreation. Some families put their own swimming pools in their backyards, and therefore the attendance at the town pool went down. People were looking for more and more, and quite frankly, municipal recreation has become $1 billion business. And in the back, you will see the number of towns, cities, parks, and other corporations that we reached out to as a committee to give us insight into what municipal communities are doing now with their recreation facilities. Just locally, as an example, Millerton received through the SWIM grant program in New York State, a several $1 million grant to put in a swimming pool in Millerton. Through those kinds of contacts, I've spoken to Fishkill, members of our committee have spoken to Hyde Park, Pleasant Valley, Stanford, Millerton. As an example, in speaking with Millerton, they gave me the engineering company that dealt with them in order to apply for the grant that they got, but also to give them representation of what the swimming area in Millerton will look like. In the back of your packet, we have provided you with a number of picture renditions of what a lot of municipalities are doing with their parks. When I spoke to the engineering company, which is now housed in Chicago, they actually told me that most of the engineering companies throughout the country now have specialized divisions that deal just with municipal recreation programs. That gentleman, and the reason we had called him, we were struggling with what we should do with the town pool. And that was based on 2 surveys that we were able to do. In 2025, during Community Day, we did a walk-by survey, a table survey, where people just stopped and we asked them, what would you like to see up at the town park? And they took stickies and they stuck it on the rendition of the park that we had. More than 70 people stopped at the table that day. From that, we did an assessment of what percentages people want in as far as things up at the park. The pool was one, pickleball courts were another, a dog park was mentioned, an indoor facility was mentioned. Then we said that was too small a sample size. So we reached out, I think for 5 or 6 weeks in late November of 2025 to do an online survey. That online survey revealed much more detail of what the community would like to see up there. We also took advantage of that survey to do a demographic of what our community consists of. We asked them, how long have you lived in the town of Washington? How many members in your family? How often have you gone to the park? All that statistics in the written comments are in your packets. What we decided to do after those surveys and after members of our committee had special duties to do, like walk around, look at facilities, look at the use during summer, look at the use during winter, look at the use during spring. We decided that what our initial hope was to do a master report back to you with detailed recommendations of what could be done there, along with dollars that would be attached. We found that our ability to do that was not on our committee. So we did, though, decide that we would narrow down specific focuses. And what we decided to do in the recommendation page that you'll see, I think it's page 36 or 37, we broke it down into non-structural recommendations, which could be handled by budget. Things like extending the hours in the park from sunrise to sunset. Look at the fee schedule for entering the park. Right now, to get into the park, you pay a fee, whether you're going into the swimming pool or you're not going into the swimming pool, particularly during the summer months. We had a big discussion on that. Maybe the board would recommend sunrise to sunset and only pay to get in the pool and not pay to get into the park. That may help stimulate more use of the non-swimming areas up there, like the existing pickleball court, which is just a painted court on top of the old basketball court. The pavilions are probably, and we did a study on this, the pavilions are probably your number one revenue source up there. They bring in the biggest use and the biggest money. One of the suggestions, which would be structural down the road, would be to maybe put a third one up there, because you do have the room to do that. But we're not in position to give that full recommendation. So our number one recommendation to this board is figure out how to finance doing an RFP to engineering companies and have them come in and give you presentations on how they can assess the needs of a municipal recreation area for the town of Washington. Another recommendation would be, because we know, for instance, one of the companies gave us an estimate on a playground. Well, all of us have been exposed to children's playgrounds in parks. Well, that science has changed dramatically, particularly because of litigation and new kinds of materials. Some communities are putting in children's playgrounds for $250,000, others for $400,000, others for $800,000, depending on the size of the playground, the use of the playground, and where you're placing it. So I think those engineering companies have the expertise to really guide this board through that process. But in order to get them in, you're going to have to go out to bid to bring them in. The other recommendation is the tax structure of this community will never be able to handle some of the major costs that are coming down the road in not only putting new amenities up to that park, but also improve the existing facilities that you have there. Both of our contractors that were on the board doing a walkthrough of the concrete buildings, one of which is the concession stand. And it also acts as a filter system for the drinking water up there. They said, don't spend a lot more money unless you're only spending emergency money, emergency repairs, because possibly these engineering companies may say it's not worth keeping that building and keep pouring money into it based on the style and the uses that most communities are using those facilities for. It might be a tear down. Also, the biggest challenge and the biggest structure up there is the pool. And misnamed, because it's really not a swimming pool, although it is chlorinated. It does have a concrete bottom. It does have a turning boards and so on. The input we got from one of our committee members who deals with, and we had several people, one of whom is also a rec director in another town. People don't want waterfront swimming areas anymore. They want to go and see a swimming pool, a municipal sized swimming pool. And you've all seen these splash pads and these fountains that little kids can sit under and get the effect. Millerton got the grant to do that. Other communities have gotten grants to do that, Newburgh in particular. I asked the engineering company in Chicago, would we qualify for those swim grants? They said, no, not on the state level. The reason for that is we do not have in this community, which is nice, a high level of poverty levels within the community. And that's how they base those grants. So Millerton and I believe Pleasant Valley or Stanford qualified and Newburgh qualified for those state grants. And they were getting $2.5, $3.5, $3.7 million to put these improvements to the parks in. So a tax structure to do what we possibly could do there would not handle what needs to be done. So the recommendation of this board, again, something that's non-structural, but is a primary recommendation from us, is to form a community-based 501c3, whatever the code from the income tax and the federal government, the state government is, to similar to what they did in the Thorne Building at Bennett, and similar to what the school district did years ago when we formed the foundation that supports the athletic programs and scholastic initiatives at the school. A community-based program of local residents who have the ability not only to perhaps give, but go out and ask people to give. Also, that would give you the ability to run special events that could be specifically designated for the upgrades that would be needed up in that rec area. You also could expand that if you had other desires within the town, like this building, the highway department buildings, those 501c whatevers can handle that kind of thing. I have a background in dealing with foundations. I was a foundation director at St. Francis Hospital. I was also a foundation director for Hudson Valley Hospice. We raised millions of dollars through our citizen-based foundation board. Some of the improvements that were recommendations structurally are happening now. You may have seen the new lighting that's up there that's being handled through your budget. The staff up there is working on improving the lower pavilion look. One of the biggest things that came out of our discussion as a committee was the wow factor. I think you're all familiar with the wow factor. You walk into an event, you'll say, wow, look at this, look what this committee has done for a black tie gala or a new park or even the Bennett Park. When everybody saw that, they said, wow, this is great. There are little things you can start to do based on budget, but when you start to get into a swimming pool, new structures, the gentleman from Chicago, even though he would not come to us unless we hired him, so I told him he's got a bid on it. He said even to upgrade the existing town pool, its filter system, its chlorination system, and its upper pond would probably cost six figures to even just to get it up to current code. So right now we're using it. We're doing what we can do. The health department's coming tomorrow to take a look at it to make sure that it's approved for summer camp and so on. Another thing that is primary on our list of recommendations for you, and we talked about this in 2024. One of the issues at the park is it's a one-way in and a one-way out. You go off of 44, you go down the driveway, you come to the gate, you get into the park. When it's camp in July, the families dropping off their children start to back up onto 44, both coming from the west and coming from the east. And traffic on 44, as you know, goes quite fast. There's a definite fear of some kind of accident happening out there, waiting for camp to open so that people can get in, drop their children off, and come back out. We did a complete assessment knowing that we owned property, we, the town, owned property from the park out onto Little Rest. And there is an ability, we've already had one of the committee members take a look at entering off of Little Rest for a restricted use road that would bring people in off of Little Rest for day camp, bring them in, drop them off in front of the Terlides building, which is an amenity that was added years ago, the large building, and then continue and exit out onto 44. So there's no continual loop to go out on 44. We did some research. The area can be cleared. We do own the area. We would have to work with the county and the state to handle the aprons that would bring us out on Little Rest. We found out that there is going to be a state initiative or a county initiative on 343 to grind up and resurface 343. So the chips from that surface, we, through our department, highway department, who has used chips on other roads throughout the town, could use those chips to perhaps give the hard surface that would be necessary to come in off of Little Rest and come into the park. So that again is a timeline thing. It's obviously not going to be done in the spring prior to this summer. So Danielle, our rec director, is working on a flow pattern now that camp is a full day. Because you're going to have public coming in off of 44. Well, you've got kids in camp, and then you've got kids leaving camp at a certain specific time in the afternoon. That new access in road would also give the maintenance department that's there every day an ability to get out onto their work off-site without having to drive through both the public that's going back and forth into the pool and also camp kids that are running around using all the fields and the amenities that currently exist there. So that was one of the several initial recommendations we had as a committee. Further down, you will see that there are long-range amenities that the community is looking for. They're looking for pickleball courts, they're looking for perhaps a tennis court, they're looking for a basketball court that perhaps could be lit. They're looking for other amenities. And one thing that we as a committee kept in mind, unfortunately, people think recreation is children's based, but it's also children and adults. And a lot of the amenities that could be added, such as pickleball, tennis, a better concession area, could attract more adult use of that area. It also, depending on what the board would decide on use of the site, you could expand your market beyond just the town of Washington with non-residents that are coming in to enjoy the amenities there. So that's what this report is. We started in May of 2024. We did all of our research through 24, 25, early 26. We just held our last meeting a couple of weeks ago. We put together the document. We wanted to be as transparent as possible. So not only did we give you the results of the surveys, and in fact, the Chicago guy said one of the first things most companies will do will be come in and do a community-wide survey. We told him we had already done one. He says, well, good, we can look at that and that may adjust, what they would charge. But we also provided you with all of the comments that we received both inline during that online survey, but also the comments that were written during the Community Day survey. Some of them you'll see apply to program and facilities drive program. If you add certain amenities up there, then the rec board and the rec department can develop new kinds of programs like summer leagues for basketball or pickleball. We used to have volleyball leagues up there. When I was the summer rec director, when I was a teacher before I went into healthcare, we had a summer basketball program up there. So it's a jewel that we have. We need to figure out how to get more people to use it. But in using it, it will become what it's supposed to be. Like these other communities have taken the steps for their communities to become.
Yeah.
So that's our report. We're all done. And if anybody has any questions after you read this document, feel free to contact Danielle and she can reach out to us. I have two community members here, Jessica and Jennifer. I don't think anybody else came in. And Bob Audia was a co-chair of this group. So, and a very big thank you to the people that were on the committee.
Yeah.
They gave up of their time, their effort, their expertise, and some of it were things that we individuals that aren't in the business would never even thought of. But if you haven't taken a good look at that facility up there, go take a look, particularly when the water's not in the pool. Unfortunately, that particular facility up there, which is your main draw right now, it's gotten old. It's gotten old.
Yeah.
And it would cost a lot of money to fix it up. Our fear was fixing it up and then a company coming in and saying, totally get rid of it.
Yeah.
Then you're kind of wasting money away. So that's our report.
You did a lot of work.
Wow.
Thank
It was
you.
good. It
Commendable.
was good. And the committee was excellent.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to thank everyone for all their hard work on this. This is amazing. I was invited to their final meeting, so I got a sneak preview of this plan. And I'm amazed at how much time and effort people put into this, so.
Yeah,
It is
It's,
a lot of work.
it's really impressive.
Okay. We can entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
We're not doing that one.
We're not doing.
I don't, yeah, I think it's for,
Next week?
to next month, yeah.
Okay.
We're
not
so
ready.
gonna take
But
this
don't
up.
we have to introduce the law?
Yes.
So just as a little background, we discussed this at the last meeting. This pertains to the fees that would be charged to appellants, to when people file appeals to zoning board determinations. So the law's been clarified, and I think there was another provision that was changed, that Vandewater changed. So, Ross, correct me if I'm wrong, so the law is being introduced tonight, and we'll schedule a hearing for June 11th? Okay.
You'll post the proposed law on the website, I assume, for people to have access to it,
Yes,
to
we do.
review it?
Do the previous one because of the
Right.
changes, yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay.
we will do this one.
The one thing I would just ask is that the version of law that you sent us, could you guys redline that like you did the original version, just so people can see what the changes are? You have the repeal and replace, but it's just not redlined.
Oh, okay. In the email you got earlier today, or
I think it
Or
was
yesterday.
yesterday, yeah.
okay.
Okay, Joe, you want to give us your report? Sure. By the way, that new truck is really nice, that big one. Did you look at the truck?
I think,
What's that?
I think we need to do a motion to set the public hearing for the
Yeah.
11th, yeah.
So-
Yeah,
Yes.
all right.
That's-
Different model than we normally use. But it was just-
Motion.
So Joe, I need to excuse you. We need to make a motion. to,
Motion.
Set the public hearing for the July 11th before we move further.
Right.
Or June 11th. So I'll make that motion.
Second to that. Second to that motion?
Oh,
I already moved it 3 times, but it's okay. Second.
Aye.
Aye.
I thought you were saying you were seconding it.
That's what I thought he was saying. That's why I was
We'll post that
confused.
and get it in the
All right.
journal.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay.
Sorry, Joe.
Okay, so, first round of our grading, dirt roads is done. We'll be back at it, obviously, throughout the course of the summer. I mentioned that we need a grader. Our 1985 has seen better days.
No, it's not you.
Competitive bids. We're using the state bid process, which we use very often to purchase and to do public works projects. So the bids so far range between about $335 and $275. So we'll see what they come out to. I'm waiting for pricing on maintenance plans. So.
So the 2 graders that we have now, you're currently using both of them?
No, one's not.
One is not usable.
No, she doesn't want it
Okay.
anymore.
All right.
We're also going to bid for Public Works project blacktopping on Stanford Road. Whether or not that will actually occur, it's a long road, we've done one side of it, the north side. It's 2.6 miles. Price of blacktop obviously is very high this year. We're going out again on the OGS bid. So the contractors are there. I've contacted them. We send out the particulars, measurements, et cetera, the tonnage, and then they bid on it. It's called a quick quote bid. This year, the quick quote bid also includes a portion which they use a much warmer mix. And the reason they're using the warmer mix is because it, according to the state, it is environmentally friendly. It does not obviously heat as long in the vats to create the blacktop. It's actually down almost 100 degrees. So we'll see how it fares. We get good prices with the OGS bids, which are state bids. Unfortunately, what I realized is in your policies and procedures, which were supposed to be written in years ago, we did write in, it was written in that we can use the OGS for purchases, which is very good because we get at least 30 to sometimes 40% off when we use the state bids. But it was never written in, although it's inferred here, that we can use and I know I'm being sort of particular about it, because you do have written in here that Public Works, you can use a formal bid. Well, that is a formal bid, but if you don't mind, I'd like it to read the OGS or county bid where applicable. I don't know if it takes an act of Congress to put that in here, but
It's definitely not necessary,
Yeah.
but per your request, we will do it.
yeah,
but
it's how we do
not
business,
necessary.
and it's the best way to
Yeah.
do business. All
Yeah.
of these contractors are vetted.
OGS is offered for municipal and state government, so
Absolutely, it's a
it's,
bid that's already been
Yeah.
done for you, and the contractors are vetted, and they are very responsible. We had one on Milewood Road years ago, from the OGS bid, who, after applying the blacktop, we came back the next year and there were a couple of spots. It was only about 300 foot worth of spots, and there was only about 4 or 5. I brought them down there. And I assumed they were gonna cut the road in 2 spots and then re-blacktop it. They re-blacktopped the entire road for free.
Nice.
And that's what you want. When you get out to bid, sometimes things don't go well. It's happened here
right,
several times.
Right.
And so I feel very comfortable on it.
yeah.
Joe, the language you want changed, sorry.
It's very
Is it,
simple.
is it procurement policy? Which
Yeah,
policy it
This
is?
is gonna ask.
Yeah, all right, so it is the procurement
Yeah,
policy, but the procurement policy.
But for your department,
Yeah, well, the procurement policy, well, actually, I think it should be in there for all of us.
okay,
Yeah.
Because-
that's,
Because there are areas that, for example, Gary asked me to look into the parking lot out here. Now, I'm not sure that this can be accomplished, but there's a state bid called Sourcewell. And when I got the gas tank done for 15,000 instead of 42, which was quoted to me, when we went on the state bid, that was the difference. And I'm not sure, but I will investigate these particulars as far as facility work goes. My concern is very simple. It says formal bid, and if we could just add or
Two and,
OGS state bid
Yeah.
or county bids where applicable,
Yeah.
that would be great.
okay,
That's a procurement
Does that make
policy.
sense?
yes,
It's just for clarification, just because I need to,
Yep.
it's in the procurement policy?
That
That we're
you want to
changing?
change.
Yes.
this is the town policy,
Yes.
not a specific,
No, it's the town policy, Town of Washington
Okay.
procurement policy.
Thank
That's-
you.
yeah,
okay.
okay.
That would help me tremendously. And, you know, in case of an audit, the first thing that occurs during an audit, the state will come in and they will read your procurement
Yeah.
policy.
Right.
And
Right.
you should be doing business as you say.
Yes, but
And,
we are a municipality, so we
and we
are
are, it's
allowed.
just very vague. If we
Yeah.
could just add that,
Okay,
Okay.
I would feel.
okay.
No
All
problem.
right, anyway, we're getting bids for Stanford, don't count on it. It's a long road, it's gonna be expensive, we'll see how it goes. And that's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Joe? No? Awesome.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, John.
Chrissy, you want to give us your report?
Sure. For the month of April, the town clerk's office brought in $3,447. Our transfer station permits are set to expire June 30th, so we always start to sell them a little bit early, so we have started selling the new transfer station permits. They're green this year, so if anyone wants to come in, we are selling them. We are closing out taxes with the county by June 1st. I also submitted the town application for the municipal infrastructure grant. So I've submitted that on Tuesday, and we'll find out midsummer if we were awarded the grant, so I'll keep you updated on that. And on June 11th, we are having Legal Shred come And we've notified all the offices that they're coming and we could finally shred our old archive
Good.
boxes and get
Good.
some room in the basement and clear some
Good.
stuff out. And that's what I've got.
Okay,
Thanks.
good, thank you. So Lois isn't here.
She's okay?
Oh, she's sick.
She's what?
You
She's
said she
real-
was sick yesterday.
Yeah, she's really sick. She's
Really?
not feeling well at all. No.
Wow.
Okay. It's too bad.
Well, the budget amendments need to be done, and we need a motion to accept those amendments.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget amendments as noted in our packet as presented by the bookkeeper, Lois Patron.
Second to that,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Danielle, she left?
She was here.
She just-
I think she's chatting with her
Mike.
committee members.
Okay.
You want me to go get her?
So I thought we were gonna have Lisa here to go over the discussion with the reeval that we had talked about with the email that she had sent. Did we discuss that at the May meeting? I was surprised not to see her tonight.
She was supposed to be here.
She told me she was going to be here.
Okay.
Not on the agenda.
She actually asked about whether,
No, is it on the agenda? Oh.
Yeah, but I just remember we had discussed having her here to talk
Yes,
about
we
the reeval and whether or not we were gonna go.
Right.
Just to not stall it another month, but I guess we're to sell it another month.
as far as I know, she's coming. So Jonathan, you all saw his report. Deidre, okay.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to thank Chrissy for her work on the Municipal Innovation Grant. I know she worked with Danielle on it as well, so I want to thank both of them. Chrissy, Matt, and I met after our May meeting to go over the grant, what was the application. And Matt was great enough to go and get an estimate and a bid. I don't really want to say it's a bid, it's a company he used. This will have to, if we get the grant, we'll have to go out for an RFP or for a bid on this. But he was able to get a estimate on windows. So we submitted the grant for the total amount to replace all the windows in the town hall based on his estimate. I don't want to share it publicly because I don't want to put the numbers out there of how much it's going to be.
Right.
But it would be feasible based on his to get all the windows done in the town hall, which is what we discussed. So Chrissy took the helm for me and applied for the grant, and it took her a lot of time and she put a lot of effort into it, and she had to work with Danielle and Lois. So I really want to thank you for doing it. And then I did attend the final recreation committee meeting. They had invited me to come to meet the committee members and just go over the preliminary feasibility plan. And again, I was just totally impressed with that committee. The hard work they did and how invested everybody was and passionate about how they were about the park. It was fantastic to see. And then I don't want to take Danielle's report, but I don't see her. Danielle and I met with a gentleman at the town park 2 weeks ago to talk about the upper fields, what we're calling the soccer fields. Currently, there is adult workout equipment there, not fenced in. It's being used by children during, soccer games, like siblings or friends of kids. And there's a question about safety with it because it really is adult workout gear structurally in the park. So we met with a playground designer from, I think, Little Tykes, to talk about that New York Plays grant, which I had suggested that Danielle apply for, to get a proper playground to put up on that field. So that when kids are playing soccer or lacrosse or whatever it is, that their siblings would have a place to play. And I did talk to the committee about it, and a lot of the people thought that would be a great idea to have a playground there. Of course, there's sticker shock with playground equipment these days. So Danielle did reach out to the man we met with and asked him to scale it back some. Because I believe the grant, we would have to pay 20% and the grant covers 80%. So she has a plan in place, and I believe she's going to be applying for that New York Plays grant. And if we get the grant, then it's another discussion. But for the meantime, she's just going to go ahead and apply for the grant and see what happens.
What kind of timing would it take to do that?
To install the playground?
Yeah.
I think it depends upon, I don't have the grant timeline. I think the grant is due to New York State by mid-June. Oh, Danielle, I'm just talking about your New York Plays grant. Do you know the timeline of the grant?
June, besides the deadline?
It's due mid-June, right?
Yeah.
So, and when's the award? October, November?
I thought it was October.
Yeah,
Okay, so definitely not this summer.
right. So that's what I have.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll back up a little bit, since Danielle has rejoined us. Give us your report.
Email.
Okay, so camp registration, we have all 3 sessions that are open, and the highest session is 75 people so far, and that number can double. We're not quite sure yet, because we've never offered a full day until this year. In order to run our park and its water, hey, how are you? And camp, we have to go to the Park Department of Health, and we have to get 3 different permits. So one is for our drinking water, one is for our pool, and one is for our camp. And all permits have been submitted to the Department of Health, and I have a meeting with the sanitarian tomorrow about getting those permits closed out and being able to go swimming. Speaking of which, the pool opening will be Memorial Day from 12 to 6. The pool will be open from 11 to 7 on weekends. We'll also be open on Juneteenth. I think a lot of people had Juneteenth last year off and nowhere to go. So we are opening that day, because I think that will make a lot of the community happy doing that. Starting June 29th, the town pool will be open 7 days a week. Weekdays 12 to 6 and weekends 11 to 7. The toddler programs, art show, just a reminder again. Oh, by the way, Gary, it's not on Wednesday, it's on a Friday, so you can make it.
I'm sorry, I didn't know
The
that.
art show, I'll keep on bothering you.
Oh, yeah,
until you get
sure.
there. That's June 5th at 6 PM at Lyle Church. The last day of our program is June 12th. The adult program, we're having a luncheon on Wednesday, May 29th, and we're serving chicken parmesan and ziti, and everyone 60 plus are welcome to come.
That's a
We don't call them
28th.
seniors
27th,
anymore because
isn't it?
nobody wants to
It's
be
a-
called seniors.
What day
It's a
is it?
Wednesday,
27th.
What day is it?
27.
27. What do you call them? Yeah.
Old folks.
They're adults. They're just adults.
I like it though.
Very.
Seasoned adults.
What time is the luncheon, Danielle?
12:30.
Okay, thank you.
We have a bus trip that you can sign up for. The bus trip is on July 14th. The bus meets here at 9 AM and comes back at 5. They're going to AquaTurf. There's going to be some singing and dancing and food. Residents are charged $10, non-residents are
29th.
$60.
May 29th.
The adult program is not going to be available during camp. So in lieu of that, I'm asking if the board will approve that we offer, after camp is over with, from 4 to 6, that the adult community, 60 plus adult community, will be allowed free admission during the week from 4 to 6 to make up for the fact that our adult program is not going to be available.
Free admission into the park or into the water?
Yes, both.
Okay, and you'll have lifeguards for that as well?
Yes, there's already lifeguards there anyway, so yeah. So that's one of my resolutions.
I have a question, which I was going to ask earlier. How do you control somebody coming into the park and not going into the water? I mean,
We don't have that problem yet. Everybody now that drives in has to pay to come in.
but if you have something where somebody is going only into the park but not the water, is there a way to do that?
Not yet, not yet. That's what
Okay,
we're working
okay.
on next year.
Okay.
And if that were the case, and they wanted to come into the water and they would pay, we would do that with bracelets.
Okay,
Then there would be different colored bracelets for each day.
okay.
Yeah. The Trilogies building, the garage doors have been removed, the new door has been installed, the walls have been stained, it looks great, so. I don't know, did you plan on having everybody come and visit the park so that they can get to know it?
Road trip.
Oh, I was
Road trip.
gonna suggest that you offer like a open house for us to come. I mean,
I took that open house already. right?
yeah.
Didn't I take that open house
No, you
already?
didn't.
Yes, I
No,
did.
No, there's so much more to say.
Oh my gosh, I think I saw quite enough.
I think in
You
light,
did take a tour.
I took a tour. Thank
I
you,
can only
Danielle.
show you more.
I think in light of the feasibility study that we've just been presented, And I think in light of applying for the New York Plays grant and things like that, I think it would be a valuable thing for all of us to go up and take a walk around and just see what Danielle's been working on.
Yeah.
Because the building has changed. And
Joe,
talk
you
about
can see,
pavilion
like, the
rental
building.
and talk about how we can, get access to the park and not pay at the gate. I think there's a lot of things that are happening up there that we should be talking about.
When is good?
Can we send out a few dates?
Yeah.
Can we send out like a Google poll?
Well, you guys could always come for the lunch and then we can take a walk afterwards if you want.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
lunch.
I'll be there.
Can you make that?
I'm not sure yet.
I'll give you a special.
Yeah.
Charge him for his visit.
Sure.
He's got to pay. Yes. I do have also some other resolutions. There's a resolution for the camp staff that you.
It's here.
Yep, and then there's also lifeguards.
Yeah.
And then the one for the 60+ community that can come in.
Yeah.
Drainage.
So from an official, can we make 3 motions encompassing, in other words, do it once, but covering all 3 resolutions? We have to do each one individually.
I
Individually.
think
Individually.
I'll tell you, every corporation in the world doesn't do that, but that's okay.
It'll be quick.
That's why I was asking the question.
So there's resolution 5001. You want to start with that one?
Yeah.
That's the summer camp staff.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We should give the heading though, just so that
Yeah,
people know
we
what we're
should.
voting on. That's the appointment of the 2026 Town Washington Summer Camp staff.
Next one is the lifeguard staff.
Yes. Appointment of 2026 Town of Washington lifeguard staff.
Motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Oh, you keep saying, he's asking for a second. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, the appointment of the Town of Washington toll-free entry for adults 68+, weekdays from 4 to 6, excluding Friday, July 3rd.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
That was easy.
So, Lisa,
Yes.
so why don't you come up here?
Come on up.
It just, the question came up where we, here, just. have a
Oh,
seat.
okay. Sorry.
Hi.
Where we
Hello.
stand with
So
the
we had
RFPs or-
discussed,
or-
at our last meeting, we had discussed going out for the RFP. I know Christy had been working on it. She and I have been working on it a little bit together. She had taken most of it. And then I think Susan referenced an email that you had sent to the board about data entry timeline, the concerns that you had mentioned to me, but I don't think the whole board had. And so I think we just wanted to drill down on those concerns a little bit further before we ended up spending a lot of time doing the RFP, if the determination was made to hold off for a certain amount of time. Do you think that's
No, it's fair.
fair?
Okay.
So we just wanted to have more discussion about your concerns.
Okay. At what time are we going to do? Because I'm not
That's
really
okay.
prepared for that right
So-
now. But
No, but in,
certainly-
in
I can
your
send it.
day-to-day plans or work, you said that you weren't ready because of the data collections and
Oh,
where you
okay,
wanted
okay.
to
I'm
be.
sorry. I thought you meant timeline. I'm sorry
That's okay.
for the readout. For
I
the
know we're putting you,
RFP.
totally putting you in the hot seat. So
No, that's
if you
okay.
want to just get information to come back to us next month,
No,
it's
no, that's
fine.
okay. No, we can talk about that. Are we okay discussing that? now?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
So yeah, I mean, I have an amazing team right now, and this has been a huge task. And any of you are welcome to come up, and we are happy to show you the extent of the work that you're doing, because it's way more than.
And this is
I think-
data collection? you're
Yes.
talking about? Okay.
I mean, this town's never really done a full proper revamp, ever. I mean, maybe back in the 70s when they did it. Again, that's so long ago. I don't even know how they did them back then. But, the whole thing did not go down properly in 2006, the way a proper reval should. And as a result, there's a litany of decades of stuff that we're trying to play catch up on. If you actually want to run a model against the data to create values, that has to be done. That is so crucial because it's just like accounting. Garbage in, garbage out. You've got to have the right data. And I can't tell you how much stuff we find every week that we're just like, wow. I mean, I found a guest house in the village. It's been there for 100 years. Place is on the market now, and I have it valued for like $300,000, and it's on the market for over $1 million because it's got this whole guest house not even on inventory. So that stuff has to be dealt with, and I just don't have faith from what I've heard from enough assessors doing the revals. They're not going to dig in enough to really grab all of this data.
So what do you think your timeline is?
Well, it depends on my staff. I mean, ideally, I would have loved to have still had another person coming in to help us, but.
Assuming we don't grow your office right now with staff, how long does it take?
That I'm gonna have to do some numbers, crunch some numbers on and go through Michael's list, see where we're at. Claire's information's a little gray to me too, unfortunately, because she kind of just up and left.
Well, if
So, I need to.
I mean, there's
kind
no
of
point
figure out-
in doing an RFP if we're not sure
Right.
where or when we're gonna do this.
Well, I mean, we
So,
can start the process if you want, so we have it kind of ready to go,
If we-
because it's really not gonna change.
If we do an RFP in due course, the RFP will not include data collecting.
That is possible, that we may be able to,
Yes.
and just do what they call a verification.
Or data collecting.
I'm sorry, what do you mean? Or have them?
Have them do the data collection.
Well, it's, if we are going through it to the extent that we are, again, barring that we're getting the majority of the information in the permits, which you're always gonna have people that are being dishonest with that, so it's
Lisa,
never gonna be 100%.
Lisa,
So you may not have to go through that
right.
real in-depth process of data collection.
I think it would be very important for us to have an established time that you might see that your data collecting is done, because I will tell you, I've been listening to this for years.
Yeah, it's taken
Right.
that long.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we may
Right.
have years on top of this. So what I'm trying
Right.
to do is, if you can get help with this through an
Right.
RFP
Right,
to help us out,
right,
maybe that's also a possibility.
right.
You mean with the data
Right.
collection?
Yes.
Right.
So you had a concern about the quality of the data collection that would be done through a mass appraisal process versus what you do, which is on a per parcel, inspecting
Yeah,
parcels
it's a
individually.
very thorough job, and I just, I've talked to enough assessors, and again, they'll do it, but they're not gonna really
Are they gonna-
dive into it.
Are they gonna
Wait.
override the work that you've done so far? I mean, is that
That's a
what
good
would
question.
happen?
Well, if they're doing a verification, I would say not, but that's a good question. That is a question to ask, because I really would not want them doing
Lisa?
that. I would not want them deleting. I'd want to know,
But
like, what.
could you get could some of those teams come in and help you finish, and you're basically running a process the way you want it, but they're helping you get that information done the way you want? That would expedite the timeline.
I think it depends on the company.
Yeah.
Well,
we can
I'm
write the
asking.
RFP.
Well, that's
Right.
what we need to
That's
do.
Right. But
really.
it depends on the company you're using. too.
Sure,
Some of them are very
But-
regimented about the way they're gonna do things.
but if you're hiring them to assist you as opposed to run it, then they do it your way.
Another question.
I don't
have
know if they
is-
are, but I don't know those companies.
Let's assume we go to an RFP, we include data collection in the RFP. Your office is still going to be working as an office. You are still going to be catching the one-offs. Is that a fair assessment? Like the
Yeah,
one you
but
just
I'm
said
not
in the
gonna-
village, like the house you just said in the village that you found that had the guest house. You're still going to find those and correct them on the roll.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, yeah. But I want to get through that so that I know.
But is there ever getting through it? It seems like it's an
Absolutely.
endless tax.
It's not an endless task.
Okay.
There is more effort put to this office than there ever has been.
I totally
As
agree.
far as staffing goes. Plus, all
So-
three of us are really, we're making tremendous progress. I mean, I don't think I know this office has never been like this level. Just because we have we have more time and effort that's being spent towards it to really focus on this. I mean, this really has been my focus. I have other tasks I have to do, but this has taken a lot of extra time.
So this goes back to Joe's point, though. I
Yeah.
think it was Joe's point about how much time for you to complete,
Right.
the
And
data
again,
collection.
I can do that based on the staff I have. But how am I to know? I mean, I have one person in my staff right now who's dealing with a major health issue.
Are there other people
So I don't
on our,
necessarily know.
are there
It's-
other people on our payroll that can help
Um,
with any
That's
of it,
possible.
with any of it?
possibly. Yeah, I'd have to, I don't know who's
Chrissy, you and
available
I
to
spoke about that.
possibly even do that, so I'd have to see, but yeah, that's,
I think Natalie's sharp and catches on quick. It's just
She might like
something.
learning it too.
to think about, not,
yeah,
And so,
if she
I
has
would,
the
I would
time,
personally
yeah.
rather see us go to an RFP than trying to retrain a staff member here that is already working personally.
Well, I'm just trying to fill in the cracks here with the time that's
Yeah.
not being spent.
I think it depends on what she needs.
I think it would be beneficial for us to have a template for an RFP of what we want to put out and then take it from there.
so,
And that should
But
include,
that might end up changing, like if we
That
do
would-
wait, we may say, okay.
it might end up changing,
Right,
but we can focus on what we want to establish, what we want to accomplish, and with hopes of aiding the data collecting process.
so,
I think
Lisa,
it would definitely be beneficial for us to do that.
so Lisa, would it be possible, if I recall correctly, when we had all met and talked to a couple of these contractors, that there were like, 2,440 parcels in the town, including the village. And, does that sound about right? In the ballpark?
about 2,500, yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
do you have any idea at this point, like in terms of data collection, how much of that's been completed?
Okay, so that is encompassing also vacant parcels.
Right.
But we still have to address commercial
Right,
and all the residential.
right, that's that's
Right,
includes all
so
those parcels.
I can run reports and figure
So
it
that
out
might be-
and try to see where we're at. And like based on how much we're getting through right now. How we're
That'd be helpful.
estimating
Mhm.
what what time we have left to do. So,
Maybe if we could, would you be able to get back to us by next meeting?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I should, yeah, because that's after agreements. I'm pretty busy between now
Oh.
agreements,
Right,
but that's
I
in
forgot
June, so
about
that
that,
gives
yeah.
me time the beginning of June to focus
All right.
on that. Yeah,
Okay.
so that should be fine.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay, that'd be
Yeah.
great, all right.
but again, the RFP, we can still get the ball rolling on that, and at least that part's done. And then we can tweak the data collection
Mm.
part based on where we're at, what we decide what we want to do.
You mean they have a draft
Yeah,
ready?
absolutely. Yeah, we can still do that.
Everybody good?
Mhm.
Good with that?
You want to give us the rest of your report?
Oh.
While you're here.
All right. So, impact notices, which is if anyone had an increase or decrease, we send out both to the property owners. We do not send them out for people that don't have changes because we're not 100%. So only people where we're increasing them again or decreasing. We send the notices out to them. So they should all have them by now. Exemption denial letters went out last month. So we're dealing with grievances coming in on some of those now that, stuff that we either didn't receive or people that didn't file for health reasons or whatever the reason is. Sales, I'm not reporting on that because this is an issue where I tried to put these numbers together last year and the county does not run these reports at this time of year because we are in our transition of roles. The tentative role is just finished, the final role is, that's next and they don't do it. And there's a timing difference in all that. Like what I just don't have the right numbers, and it's not going to be consistent if I don't use their numbers. So it's going to be a few months before I report on those, because I don't want to have some of the inconsistency issues I had last year when I attempted to do it on my own. All right. So April assessor reviews, I had 74, sales reviews 3, and data collection, we had 9 parcels and 14 sites that were completed. Tentative roll was signed off. Copies are available in my office upstairs and also in the office downstairs. It does not say that. And then also online. We have the links on the website for everybody. And then we actually have several projects, which we always do, that we are working on during the summer months when things slow down. But right now we're just busy trying to get through the roll process, and then we'll jump back to those. So,
Good.
Any questions?
No, thank you. No,
Thank you.
thanks for the
All right.
report. Yep,
Yeah, so good. All right. And if anything else comes up as far
yeah,
as
Yeah.
analysis, just let me know. Okay?
thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Joe,
Okay, so regarding Oak Summit, I've sent out an email explaining that the two property owners, one of them wanted an increase, and we agreed on that. And the 2 checks were sent to the consultant to pass on to the property owner.
Right.
To hopefully finish the land acquisition. The design plans are near completion because we also asked for a deadline 2 years from this July. So within the next, from now until then, hopefully we will see final design plans, but that has to go to DOT for approval as well.
2 years from this July?
Yeah, for the completion. The completion of Oak Summit, we have a deadline.
The completion of the
Yeah,
project?
The completion of the
Okay,
project, yeah. So that includes plans and construction.
Okay.
So, but we were hoping to have that from this month on, and so we had to. So they're working on the plans, which were supposed to be completed by May, but they're not going to be completed until hopefully July. Everybody understand that? Got it? Okay. So moving on to the ZBA meeting, which was held on April 20th. The meeting was called to order at 6:36. The March meeting minutes were approved. The meeting was then adjourned in order for the board to go into attorney-client privilege. The meeting resumed at 6:55. The board continued with the ongoing discussion of the Yadgard pool application, which was in appeal. A motion was made to approve the new screening plan, providing an inspection is made after new plantings are placed. The motion was approved. A motion was made to allow pool equipment to be placed in existing shed. The shed shall have proper venting and cannot be enlarged. Motion was approved by the following vote: 3 yes and 1 no. The Yadgard permit was approved and the automatic stay on construction is now dissolved. So hopefully this is the end of that.
Let's hope.
Okay.
Wow.
The Kramer residence at 816 Stanford Road. Applicant is requesting variance to construct new 2-bay attached garage. Public hearing was open and shut without comment. The board determined while this is substantial, it is best location for the property. An 81.6 area variance was approved. The Metcalf residence at 1193 to 1203 Shunpike. Applicant is requesting area variance to build a covered porch. Public hearing was opened and shut with no comment. 49-foot front yard setback variance approved. A special bulk and special use permit to increase the non-conforming 25% allowance to 27.9% was approved with condition of site plan approval by the planning board. The meeting adjourned at 7:55. There will be no May ZBA meeting for May due to 0 applications.
That's it.
Good. Thank you, Joe. Susan?
Yes, last meeting, we discussed, how the town had recodified its entire code, basically bringing laws that had different numbering systems and
Right.
under one numbering system. And in the course of that, it's been discovered that there might be misreferences or omissions, and I emailed to the board a couple of letters that the CAC had sent around. And I also sent that over to Vanderwater's office. I learned in the course of this that Vanderwater's firm had been involved in, somehow, I'm not sure exactly what, what it entailed, but in the recodification process. So I think what has to be done, I mean, there are a number of missing references or incorrect references. These are somewhat anecdotal. We need a complete understanding of, what needs to be fixed. I'm not really sure what the process is about on how that's done. So I don't know, Ross, maybe you can help us out on what the next steps would be.
Sure. The process is going to depend, right? There's going to be a couple different pathways that might have to happen. Just let me, step back. We did look at the letters that you forwarded to us, so thank you. And we noticed 3 different types of the comments fell into 3 different types of categories. One was incorrect or shifted cross-references. 2 was possible omissions from the online code and possible inclusion of materials on eCode. And 3, was possible inclusion of materials on eCode that may not have been formally adopted by the board. So, for example, right, in the January 8th letter you provided, there was a number of cross-references, date references, and formatting issues that the CAC noted in Chapter 165 of the zoning code.
That's the zoning code.
Yeah. And then other comments were raised, including wording such as, you had references such as this code versus this article, or references to Article 3, or formatting changes that may actually affect the meaning of the law, rather than just merely presentation. So that's a little bit more substantive than just a clerical fix, right? And then in the May 13th letter, it raised some concerns about certain appendices or maps that were either included or not included, depending. So as I said, the key legal framework here is that there's a distinction between 1, non-substantive publication or clerical corrections, such as a broken link or a typographical error, right? And then 2, there's those substantive corrections or additions, including any instance where the published eCode text may differ from what you actually adopted as a local law here as a board, right? The distinction matters because where the towns adopted and filed local laws, they're the controlling source of law. And if eCode does not accurately reflect the enacted law, that publication needs to be corrected. And some of that can be done if it's taking the local reflected law, the actual enacted law, and then letting the eCode people know that we need to make a correction based on that. However, those are those situations where you're going to have substantive issues where the local law that was adopted, just changes that are a lot more substantive. So we're going to need to actually adopt and go through a process for adopting a local law. Your typical resolution hearing, public notice hearing process.
Yeah.
But we don't even know, those are not, I mean, those are just examples. Those
Yes.
are not, so somebody has to go and look and see what else is out there.
Which comes to our recommendations. First, we recommend that the town prepare a comparison table listing each issue raised by the CAC, the affected code section, the language currently appearing on eCode, and the language of the local law as adopted, and then providing another column with our the council's recommended disposition on that issue. Now, the CAC has obviously done a lot of work on that. but you'll have to take an actual look at the adopted local laws that you have here on record and actually run a comparison of what's on the E-code. So there could be some more work
Sounds
there.
like a big problem.
Second, for
No, I
items where E-code does not match the local law adopted, we would just ask that we'll reach out to E-code to ask them to correct those online publications. Right? That'll be the easier fix here for some aspects. And then the third step that we're going to need to take is for items where the larger text is involved that needs to be corrected, clarified, or supplemented. The town board is going to need to consider a short corrective local law. That local law could address non-controversial technical corrections and also deal with the incorporation or confirmation of maps or other things that need to be incorporated into the town code. So, and then fourth, the town should separately address the maps where you ensure that the E-code or the code and E-code publication clearly identify the maps, those that correct the corrected adopted versions, and then provide stable links or attachments for what you need. So there's going to be a little bit of a step process here. I want to open it up and hear what kind of questions you might have. And we have Kyle forwarded you a letter.
Yeah.
That you have for your reference.
I think with
I didn't
everything
see
that you
that.
just outlined,
Mhm.
forwarded that to us, yeah.
So you only are talking about what the CAC was able to identify. How do we know that the rest of the E-code is a good code?
That would take a review.
So I just have to understand, and I don't know that you would have the answer or who would have the answer. How did we get here?
Well, that's the question that I have. You know, this law came to the board in September of 2024.
Which law?
The law that adopted this codification. And the introduction to that law says that, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly, but it indicated that there was both just kind of clerical changes, but there also might be substantive changes. But none of this was highlighted for anybody. So I don't know who did this work. I have no idea. It was adopted to the board. I don't know if there was any discussion. I don't think any members of the public weighed in. I don't think there was anything. But I mean, I do know, I checked the town vouchers to give me some clue who might be able to give us some insight. And I found the general code, the E-code people did some work on it, but also your firm. So I think that you guys might have some background material in this that could help us and identify, like somebody made word changes on some of these things, and who did that? I don't know. I mean, and I don't know if they're consequential or not. I just don't know.
I'm sorry. It seems to me that the CAC is not in the best position to go through something like this in detail from item to item, from the E-code to the law to doing that kind of comparison. It seems to me that a law firm that worked on it and works on this kind of stuff day to day is in a better position and has more staff to devote to that. I don't know what your hourly rate is or what it would cost to do that, but it just doesn't seem like a good expenditure of time for most of the people we have available. Because I've worked on things like this, and it's, put it mildly, a pain in the rear end.
Why do we have to have the E-code?
Because it's our law. I mean, that we now have
It's the
adopted it, and it's now
Is it-
numbered a certain way.
Yeah.
And the words are the words,
Okay.
you know, so.
So it's not a law we could just
Right.
rescind and start over?
No,
Oh, no.
no, you can't do that.
Chrissy, didn't this go back to when Mary was still here?
No.
2024, like,
I
before
believe
that.
Leslie spearheaded this.
yeah,
Yes.
Leslie, right,
That's
yeah.
the impression
she's the
I
one.
got.
Yeah.
E-code is the online source.
Yeah,
for
that's
the
all it
local
is.
for
But-
local town
So
laws.
basically,
And
to
local
to
bylaws.
simplify, exactly, it's the online source
Right.
of our law, of our local, so I guess to simplify this even further, what was on text, the way it was written, might have changed when it went online?
Correct.
Is that what?
In some way.
Right,
that might-
exactly.
Just to simplify this.
Thank you.
So, all right, so what, we go back and we compare our paper to what's online.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
that's what we
right.
need to do.
That's what we need to do.
Yes.
Do you,
So,
And then we need to take a look to see whether that was a small technical difference
uh-huh.
or if there's some type of substantive difference.
How thick is this? Like how,
It's-
Well,
do you know what I mean?
I'll
Like
tell
how-
you what I did, just like I took chapter 165, which is a pretty big chapter, it's a zoning code. And I mean, I wouldn't use this, but just to give you an idea, I took the original version and I transferred it from a PDF to Word. And then I downloaded the E-code, I did the same thing, and I redlined it so you could see some changes. But I wouldn't rely on that, but that's some of the process that I think has to be done, has to be redlined so you can see the changes.
How long did that take you in time?
I mean, it took me the morning. I mean, maybe-
it's time consuming
But I
doing
mean,
work like that.
I didn't review it though.
You
I mean, I
redlined
just
it.
did
Do you,
the,
you have to pull each chapter, you have to do, I mean, honestly, it is a big job regardless of who's doing it. And the way I would do it if it were up to me, and I assume you have some law clerks or law interns, so they're working, is I'd hand it to them to start with supervision, to put it together. The CAC should be reviewing it as it goes along, and they can do it chapter by chapter or whatever, but for the
It
CAC,
shouldn't be their job.
it's not their
Agreed.
job. And so it really, I mean, that is one of the things that a law firm is best designed to do.
All right, so.
And they have the background, you've done
Yeah.
some work on it too.
Yeah, I would, we
I don't
should
know
have a
what.
discussion about that because some of it you may not want us to be doing because there are costs associated.
Well,
with
maybe,
I understand.
maybe that
Maybe
extra
the work
staff we were
as
talking
a-
about for the assessor's office, maybe we just found a role for them.
But this is some.
But, okay.
No, it's
this is
not.
a
It's not.
lawyer
So
thing.
This is a lawyer's thing to do. It is a lot
So-
of work. I am,
So,
But I'm just saying somehow the words change.
right.
Yeah.
And your office should have some information about that, as to when that
I can't
happened.
speak
if
to
they
whether or not we
changed,
have
does
But I
that?
mean-
the process. But if we see things that would change, obviously we will present the changes to you if we find changes.
You also have the facility to do a comparison of what's in our law versus the E code that we don't have. Susan didn't have that to do that. She was doing a PDF to, would you say PDF
Right,
to
we're
whatever?
just
Yeah,
making two
right.
documents in Word.
You
so I
could do a
redline.
compare, but I know you can do the compare,
With
but still.
what you researched and what was on, like, say, paper, and then what's on E-code and you redlined, did that change the actual meaning of?
It depends.
Did
In
that-
a lot of places, it was references, it was housekeeping type stuff. But there are some instances where there are substantive changes, and that's kind of mysterious. But so, yeah, I think a lot of it's housekeeping, and so, but I don't know for sure. I mean, I just don't know. And somebody's got these source documents, and that would make the work a lot easier if we had that.
So how do we know who loaded up to E-code? How do we find out who hit the submit button on E-code?
I would see the only people that were involved were basically your firm and General Code, from what I could tell. Maybe somebody else was. So that's why I'm saying you guys could be a help to us because you must have that background, that background documentation.
I'm confused.
I personally wasn't with the
I know.
No,
firm,
no,
but
no, it's
I
not
will-
you,
What
Rob.
I was gonna say is I will go
But
back and find out.
Don't
Yes,
you,
yeah.
doesn't the firm have a copy, I would think, of all of the
Right.
town laws, our town laws? Wouldn't you have
I
that?
would think so.
Right.
Right. So you would have that and you have E-code and basically am I missing something? We're doing a comparison. We don't care what it was historically. It's what it is, we think it is today versus E-code, right? Am I
Well, what it was in 2024
Right.
Right.
Well, I assume that
versus.
unless we've
yeah.
amended something since,
What's
yeah.
going to control is the law that you adopted as a board.
Right,
That's going to
exactly.
control.
Which you should have,
Uh,
theoretically,
we should have.
Yeah,
theoretically.
correct.
I think.
Which
for
is-
us, I can't speak for as long as we've represented
Yeah.
you.
Well, no, I get it. You haven't been there. So going back to my point about law clerks, and I know it's expensive, but law clerks are cheaper than lawyers. Being a way to get this done economically and efficiently, because it's not going to be easy for anybody. I mean, if Susan and I could probably sit there, you guys could do it, but I'm telling you, it's a pain in the neck. I do compare right all the time with contracts, and it's a pain in the neck when you have to start going from PDF to each one. It's really a hassle. And this is going to be looking for nuance. And the lawyers only really have to weigh in when it starts to be something other than just reference numbers or titles are wrong. They have to correct it to the right article instead of paragraph.
Yeah, we'd have to weigh in.
Right.
as to
I don't
whether
know
it's
what your-
technical or substantive.
Right.
And
And I don't know what
So
your
do we
fees
talk
are. I
about
have
tax
no
on
idea what
file?
their hourly rate is, so I can't speak
I
to it,
know.
nor
I
do I
mean,
know what
maybe
you charge for paralegals or law clerks. But certainly it would be worth getting an estimate from them as to what it would cost for them to do it.
Well, let's find out first
What they did.
what they did to get us here. Like how are we here? And then figure out what it's gonna
I
cost to
don't
fix
think
it.
I don't think it matters as much how you got here.
But they might have the documents
They-
that
but
give us
that's
the roadmap.
But I think that's the same place. You're in the same place with whatever documents they have as of 2024 or the current, whatever the current is. You're still at the same place. You've
Well,
got to
there's-
get to the right version.
Right, no,
Right.
no, but I mean, they may have. word
Perhaps there's
changes,
an
you know.
explanation as to why words would have changed from paper to e-code.
You mean like a meaningful explanation
Yeah,
or just an error?
Perhaps there's a meaningful explanation.
I mean,
You
I'll
know,
defer to
like-
Susan, but
like
I can't
e-code
imagine.
Might, like the language.
right, you're right. There
You
could
know,
be,
you-
right. I think there
Yeah.
are instances like that, by the way. Yeah, I know what you're
So-
saying. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean.
But I think we have to start with them, whatever it is.
mhm,
It's
right.
not the CAC.
No,
Oh,
No.
agreed.
Yeah.
And it's not somebody
No,
internal who's going to be able, I mean, yes, could we sit down and do this? Sure. But none of us are going to have the time to do that.
See if we have a contact with E-code and I can contact them and see
Okay,
That's
the
a
answer to
good
this
start.
question is
That's
how
a
we
good
got
idea.
here.
I would recommend contacting
Yeah.
E-code to also talk to them about how do you, the fixing of
Fixing,
the
right.
non-substantive
And I
issues.
can
in that
See if I
process.
can do that,
There's,
yeah.
Okay.
there's an
Yeah.
With-
There's gotta be a
explanation.
way.
Yeah.
And
With-
finding out maybe what was submitted exactly.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Somebody must have sent something to them to upload.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Uh,
All
I
right,
can't
so
imagine
then
we
we'll
did the
revisit
uploads
this
ourselves.
Next month,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, okay, thank you.
And I'll go back to our office and we'll investigate what, on our end where we,
Okay,
great.
that's
what
good.
we
All
did
right, okay,
and whatever we
good.
have.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so just quickly, we had, at the planning board, there were two matters that were on. There was 452 Hibernia Road, which is it's a property that's, actually half of it's in Clinton. And they were looking to have this was a site plan amendment for I think it was like a 323-foot porch front porch that they wanted to build. Meeting, hearing opened, hearing closed, there was no discussion, it got approved, so quite simple. There's also another matter that's on for June, or on for the June meeting, which is 301 North Tower Hill. That is a property that, it's a very convoluted story. I don't fully understand it, but the question was, what sort of approval do they need for what I understand to be an accessory structure? And so our consultants, our planning consultants, AKRF, determined that they need to get a special permit, which requires a hearing. So as of now, there's been some question as to what fully is required, but I think at this point, it looks like they're headed for a hearing at the June planning board meeting. So that's what I have.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Okay.
You're up.
I'm not nearly as exciting. There was nothing from the court.
Exciting, I don't know about
Nothing
that.
from the court, nothing from the ethics committee, which leaves me to the last item that I was going to raise, which is how to deal with petty cash. And if you recall from the last meeting, it was questioned if there was a way we could find to allow for the payment of, whether it's under $500 or $300, those items to be paid without having to get vouchers for them constantly. Because we get a lot of them that are like $27. Now, I have not inventoried to see what they are. I did speak to Chrissy and I did speak to Lois about it. I did talk to them about the petty cash. No, you don't need a checking account. Petty cash is cash. Apparently, you can increase the amount of cash, but petty cash must be cash. However, in doing that, and I went to an old procurement resolution, there is, to your question that you asked me the other day, Deirdre, there is one piece in this particular resolution that authorizes the expenditure of a much larger amount without board approval. So it appears to me, because there's nothing in the laws that I found that restricts you putting in this kind of resolution, that we could identify the kind of expenditures that are, let's just say, under 300 generally, that don't require technically being submitted to the board. And there are some that have to come to the board, but there are others that you can go out and say they don't need to be. And then make a decision that those kinds of things for under 300, under 500, whatever number we want to pick, it can be under 250, but it's not petty cash. It's actually, they just don't have to do a voucher to send it to us. There's still a payment going out, still auditable. It just doesn't need to come to the board.
But doesn't each amount, whatever bill it is that we're paying, doesn't have to have a backup voucher to substantiate it?
But it doesn't have to come here to be paid. So there has to be some verification, so it's an auditable trail. Yes, that has to be doable, but they don't have to submit a voucher. So for the example I pulled, and this was from 2016, you actually give highway the authority to spend up to $3,500 to buy additional equipment and materials without prior town board approval. So it's that prior approval. What happens, as I understand the process, is we would get a list and we verify the list at the end of these are the things that have been paid. So it's still an audit trail. It just doesn't have to come here and wait for us to meet to get it paid for. And it sort of eliminates the number of vouchers. And I didn't draft anything on purpose because I didn't want to go through what I did the last time.
So on the question on what you just read with $3,500 for like the highway, so is us signing the voucher, is that considered prior approval? Because
Yes,
oftentimes they've already spent the money, they just haven't paid the bill.
Well, they may have spent the money, but they haven't paid. You can't spend the
You
money.
know what I mean? Like spent the money, like figurative, like
They've incurred the expense.
Correct.
Yeah, but they haven't paid the bill, and it's the actual payment that they're auditing, as I understand it.
So what's happening is, we'll say the highway department, they have a budget.
Right.
So what's in their budget, each line item, they can have expenditures and this, that, and the other thing. So to authorize something outside of that budget, that's where we would have to like approve the expenditure, right? So I'm in favor of having like anything below like $500. There has to be a paper trail. There has to be a voucher.
Yes, there
but we
does.
don't need to see that.
No, we get a list at the
And-
end, yeah.
But anything above that, we need to sign.
Yeah.
I would be in favor of something like that.
Yeah.
As far as petty cash goes, I would ditch that idea altogether.
I think, no,
Yeah.
the $100 they keep in petty cash is usable for things where they have to reimburse somebody, they have to go out and do something quickly. That, I'm not even
Yeah.
touching.
So
We could leave that alone
I
if
would-
we do what we're
I would be
talking
in
about.
favor of something along
Okay.
that line.
That sounds-
Okay.
I just want to know what best practices, what are there other towns doing, what's best practices? Do you have
Like,
any idea?
I can tell you what we did at the state. $300 or less was that was
It didn't
$300
require.
that didn't require it.
Inflation,
But
500.
whatever.
I don't
But
care about,
want-
I don't care about the
think it's
number.
necessary for us to see $8 for
Right.
a square foot.
Exactly.
$1 for a total. It's just not necessary.
No, and
And all that paperwork. I mean,
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I'd also, just to go along with that, is I'd recommend when we're doing the vouchers, we can all read them, but you only need 3 people to sign the vouchers. Now, if you want to sign it, you can, but you don't have to.
I think it's best practice because I also like to see what's going on.
You should see it. I'm not saying don't
Yeah.
review it.
Well, initial is
yeah,
no
that's
problem
up-
because
that's
it
up
shows
to
that
you.
I looked at it.
Okay.
Just in case an auditor says,
Well, we're holding
you
you
look at
and
that?
Gary responsible.
Yeah.
We're not.
yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Okay, so I'm going to take a copy of the procurement policy and then I will go back and draft a resolution to that effect.
Can you also redline what Joe wanted?
Well, yes, I was. I figured as long as I'm
Yeah.
doing one, I will
Right.
do the
Yeah,
other piece.
should be on the other.
Yeah, I will take the whole thing and just, so
So are you stating that you're gonna be paying some bills other than once a month with this?
they can get paid. It depends on what it is. They can get paid before the board meets and approves it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Up to a certain amount.
Right.
So, and I have one thing for other business, so I'm fully transparent. I had a conversation with Danielle the other day about the question of whether or not a certificate of insurance is required in order to have, you don't mind I'm doing this, right? Okay. So in other words, somebody comes in and wants to have a party, they have to have a certificate of insurance.
To rent the pavilions.
Yes, to rent the pavilion or any other physical space, which I'm not seeing anything anywhere that says, I don't know of any rule anywhere that says that. However, I did look at your original insurance quote to that effect, and the quote doesn't have it. I'm getting the policy from Chrissy to look at the actual wording in the policy, but I'd be shocked if the insurance company requires it specifically. So if this is something the town wants, then we have to look at it because it poses a problem for Danielle, or for people, not for Danielle personally, but for people coming in to rent the space. And then the question gets raised as to what coverage we have, because one of the things I was looking at was what kind of liquor liability coverage we have in the policy, and I need to see the actual wording to know for sure what's in there, because the quote wasn't clear.
And I think that originally, that was a board decision.
Well, I've heard two different stories about it, so I don't know, and I'm not, I hate searching the resolutions.
I think it would happen before me, I don't know.
So if it was, it may have been, but if it wasn't adopted as a formal policy, to which I also asked about putting our policies online, so we can easily find them.
Okay, that's it.
Sometimes you can get a homeowner's insurance policy that will cover the
Yeah.
certificate of insurance, but if you're a renter, you're not gonna have that, so then sometimes they have to spend $200 on the rental of the
Bless you.
pavilion plus another.
I think you also require it, some other
Even
towns.
the county does not.
Yeah,
Only when they're using
which,
liquor.
I understand why we might want it, I get it, but it's problematic. So let's see what we have in the policy to begin with.
Right.
Okay.
Does it have to be a rental? What if I walk up there and I don't want to use?
If you wanna
Eric,
go and take.
did you have-
pictures of your-
Sure. You want,
you know,
can I just talk from here? Okay.
God, come up here, come on.
Here's your
All
card.
right, all right, I'm a politician now.
I mean, you cannot drink alcohol in the gym, I mean, in the pool.
Still discussing this.
Sounds like
For those who may not know, I'm Eric Alexander. I am your representative to the Dutchess County Legislature. So I'll just give you a little update on what we're doing. As you probably know, my primary focus is on EMS. I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee, and it's increasingly apparent to me that the EMS problem is here. It's local, and I'm moving the agenda to really have the county focus more on our rural areas. I mean, the simple math is we have big geography, few people, and no reimbursement. The antithesis of what ambulance companies want. So we're struggling with how we can afford this, and everyone knows that it's incredibly expensive now, and everyone seems to think that's kind of the way it has to be. It's not. So the county is working on a plan that is mandated by the state. Frankly, it just seems like an exercise in bureaucratic form filling. I don't think it's going to address our issues. So what we're doing is looking for alternatives, and one of them that has emerged is a company called Northwell. Northwell has bought a number of hospitals in the area, Sharon, Vassar, and they are developing their own intra-hospital transportation. So they are being able to move people from one hospital to the other, based on their specific needs. They're now interested in working with us and expanding, leveraging their resources to serve the local community. They're a not-for-profit, and so we're having a number of conversations with them. We're actually expediting this to launch a pilot program with Amenia and with Millbrook, with the town of Washington. And they're now crunching the data, which we finally got from the county, to see which other ones might make sense. So we're kind of just jumping over a lot of meetings about assessments and planning, this, that, and really just trying to launch a pilot program, see how that works. This, not surprisingly, has stimulated some interest among other towns and other providers. Gary, you were kind enough to meet with some folks. A number of meetings like this are happening.
Yeah.
I'm trying to now involve Amenia in your meetings so that we can find networks of ways towns can work together. Because some of this is so embedded in the way it's always been done, and it's being done in the least effective way. For us to have an ambulance sitting here is the most expensive possible solution. And everyone thinks, well, we have to have a dedicated ambulance. You don't have a dedicated ambulance. It's more often than not being called off to another town.
Right.
So why not integrate our services? Why not work with Northwell? Keep Empress involved and work on an integrated program that gives you, hopefully, improved service, a greater pool of assets available, and reduce the cost. We're at a really bad place now, and if we don't do this, it's going to get impossible. The cost is going to
The
get
cost is unbelievable.
right. Stanford, they're paying $780,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
not
wow.
sustainable. So we're working. I'm trying to stop the train and start moving it in another direction. And I'm pleased that we are. You know, you can tell when you stir things up and people start to get nervous. I'm also now going to ask our commissioner to come back. I asked him at one of the first meetings that I chaired, the Public Safety Committee, to tell us the effectiveness of his supplemental program. It's been $2 million a year paid to Empress, the monopoly that's already bankrupting us. What has that supplemental service done? He's going to have to come back now before we get to next year's budget and tell us specifically what it's done for our towns. It's not a lot. They don't come out this way. They get dispatched. The local service then responds. They get recalled. This was not a well thought through plan. It was just a Band-Aid. Let's spend a little money, put up a billboard. So Chris Drago, you know, I stand here talking about myself. Chris Drago, who's the representative of the towns north here, has done an incredible job on this. There's a lot of momentum building on it. So I hope we'll see more and more positive motion.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
Yeah, it really is. And we can't just, accept that it just has to go on.
Yeah.
Just a couple of other things. The legislature has been very, very busy. The last month, we have launched a lethality assessment program. This is a training program on domestic violence. We require all elected officials to be trained because this is a problem that's often sort of just shuffled off to the side. It's a family issue. It's not. This is violence, and people have to be trained to recognize it and assist the people that are being violated, if you will. We also just approved a skip the stuff law, I believe. This is to save money, reduce waste. When you go to restaurants from now on, they're not going to throw 15 packets of forks and sauces and ketchup into your bag. You're going to have to ask for it. Because these things, you get them, you throw them away, they're out there forever. So this is just a simple common sense thing. Just this week, we launched an AI oversight committee because artificial intelligence is going to be creeping into and throughout our county government in a million different ways. Data centers will be moved in here. So this will allow the legislature to provide oversight and work with our constituents. And I actually have put forward with another legislator formation of an animal welfare committee.
Yes. Can I help?
Yes, everyone can help. Because this is something that there are a lot of cracks in the system. We used to have a DSPCA that really had this. I don't know the background. I don't really care to know the background. They don't do it anymore. You probably know more about this than I do. So now you have the sheriff that doesn't have anyone dedicated to this, but assigns, I met with the chief of detectives yesterday, and one detective that gets a lot of these calls, and their view, and they're doing a great job, their view is this is a crime. Animal abuse is a crime. A lot of local departments don't want to pursue it. You can't decide which laws you're going to enforce, which criminals you're going to go after, but there's a gap between what the sheriff does and what the local municipalities do. Then there's another gap with what the animal control officers do. So an expectation of the animal control officer should be available 24/7, 7 days a week. They're not. A lot of them have office hours, and the public doesn't know where to go. And then when the sheriff does now pick up an abused animal, they have nowhere to put him. It used to be they had a budget that went right to the DSPCA, which is now the SPCA. That they've abandoned that. They've walked away from it. The SPCA has. So now the sheriff has to call shelter after shelter after shelter. And this is for cats and dogs. Large animals, there's nowhere for them to go. So this deserves some attention. It deserves some oversight. Hopefully this will be a committee that's around for a year, maybe two, tries to organize some of this between the towns, and then we'll just dissolve it. Happy to answer any questions.
That's all.
I just want to make a comment about the ambulances. So I see that Northern Dutchess Hospital already has the Northwell ambulance and helicopter there.
Yep.
So I've seen, conversation in the newspapers about Sharon, them providing services in Sharon, which I think that's pretty, a lot of our community goes to Sharon.
Right.
And they go by my house I hear them all the time, the ambulances. So do you know where those conversations have gone between Sharon and Northwell? I mean,
Sharon is Northwood.
right, that's what I'm
Right.
saying,
And
as
so-
far as
Northwell is
providing the
Northwell.
ambulance service.
So the issue, there you have an interstate issue. And the two states have different regulations. If there's I'm learning all the lingo now. If there's an MCI, a mass casualty incident, all bets are off and they can go back and forth. But otherwise, and I can't give you the detail, but the states have different requirements in terms of where an ambulance can go and where it can pick someone up, where it can drop them off. But that's another thing that, you know what, it has to be dealt with. You know, what we've had is a problem where there are all these reasons you can't do anything. You can't go back and forth course data. Of course you can. You just gotta
Well, they
make sure that it
are,
happens.
but the private companies are.
There's limitations on it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of lingo, there are a lot of acronyms.
Right.
But you just gotta figure out a way to do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, they own
Yeah,
Vassar
and so- right.
essentially, so that's in our state. So even if it was.
right, and they
something
do have the
from that
helicopters, they
area.
have a fixed wing aircraft. It's a very large, sophisticated, not-for-profit organization.
Right.
And I will tell you, in the conversations with Empress, even what we have now is not working for them. This is like a really badly broken setup. So we just have to like really, really push it as hard as we can to find some better answers. And I'm sorry, Carrie.
No,
I had a thought on your E-code, not that I know anything
Sure.
about it.
Share,
Could you,
yes.
could you delete what's there?
That's what I said, start over. That's what I said. Just-
Delete what's on E-code, purify your documents, and let them resubmit.
You've gotta do a new law, though, if you're.
Okay.
I say,
We'll take it under advisement.
Find the delete button, I'm all in favor.
Throw it out.
With no laws.
I will help with the animal stuff.
I'm sorry.
I'll tell you.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about?
Want to do the resolution on the planning board member?
We can.
Are we
Sure.
supposed to, we should do
Sure,
a
let's
resolution,
So she can
right?
call-
Okay,
A vote.
A
not
motion.
resolu- A motion.
To vote.
right, exactly. Okay.
Motion to appoint, is that what it
Okay.
is?
You want
So-
to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion that the town board appoint John Vesey as planning board member, as a new planning board member, and David Purcell as the alternate.
Second,
To that motion?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
We got it. Anybody else have anything they want to talk to us about?
He didn't hear the vote.
Yeah, we vote.
Planning board.
Appointing to the
John
planning board.
Vesey appointed to the planning board member? Yeah.
What, Jack?
No,
John Vesey.
John Vesey.
Public comment?
Any other comments? Other than that, we're gonna pay the bills.
Okay.
The fun
Gary,
part.
You tried to keep me from coming. Oh, it's gonna be so long. Well, this is
Eric, if you-
long.
Sharon vote.
If you want help with the animal welfare,
Oh,
oh, pay that. Pay it.
And my dump permit.
You
Eric,
got it.
Eric,
Thanks, Eric.
if you want help with the animal welfare, I was serious, I wasn't joking.
You're in.
Okay.
Do we have bills to pay?
I don't see a pile.
Let me.
We just, they're in the other room. I can get them if you want. We just need a motion to pay bills.
Yeah,
Oh.
make that motion.
Second for that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And close meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We're all in
Okay.
favor of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get your stuff. You know, I think Lois usually delivers it, doesn't she?
I know.
Thank you.
We're used
I have to
a
come
certain,
get
you
my
know.
stuff from you.
Thanks for coming.